You've been doing your home stroke rehab routine for months, but you've noticed no improvement, no new progress. You feel stuck. I'm going to show you how to break through that plateau so that you can start making progress again in your stroke recovery journey today. Hi, I'm Elise. I hold a clinical doctorate in occupational therapy, and I'm also a certified stroke rehab specialist. So firstly, let's understand what's actually happening. A plateau isn't your brain giving up. It's your brain getting too comfortable. When you do the same exercises or activities in the same way for months and months, your brain adapts, which is what it's designed to do. But it stops creating new neural pathways because it's become efficient at the ones that it's using. Think of it like this. You usually take the same route to work, but one day there is a construction detour, and now you actually have to pay active attention to where you're driving. Your brain needs that same kind of construction detour in order to wake up and start making new connections. So how do we give our brain that detour? There are 3 key things you need to break your plateau. And the first is to increase intensity. I talk a lot about repetition, 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 but intensity is important too. And it's actually another key principle of neuroplasticity that needs to be followed if you want your brain to wake up. Your brain responds to challenge, not comfort. But this doesn't mean that what you do needs to be overly complex. And let me give you a couple examples of what I mean. So let's say that maybe you've been doing 10 repetitions of a particular exercise. Next time, try to do 12. Let's say you've been using a 2-pound dumbbell. Could you try 3 pounds? If you've been walking for 10 minutes, aim for 12. But here's the crucial part. Intensity isn't just about doing more. It's about doing it with more focus and more effort. So let's say that you're doing arm exercises. Pay more attention to your movement. Feel how your muscles are working. You're literally trying to rebuild the mind-body connection. The second key is to introduce new challenges. Your brain craves novelty. New experiences create new neural pathways. If you've been practicing buttoning shirts, try zippers. If you've been practicing walking on flat surfaces, try a gentle slope as long as you're safe to do so. Here are a couple other ways to add novelty to exercises and activities. Let's say that you're practicing reaching. Well, try doing this to music and trying to reach on beat. Practice your fine motor skills with different textures and items, buttons, zippers, Velcro, shoelaces, because this is also going to give your brain more sensory input as well, which means that your brain is going to be paying more attention because you have both movement and sensation. Practice your hand exercises while reciting the alphabet backwards. And try to name all of the red items in a room while you're practicing your walking. Of course, only if you're safe enough to do so. The key is to pick activities and exercises that give you a just right challenge. Difficult, but not too hard. Because if something is too hard, you're going to get frustrated and want to give up. If something's too easy, you're going to get bored and stop. And the last key is to take care of your mental health. Now, this one is one of the most important, but often the most overlooked. Your mental state directly impacts your physical recovery. When you are feeling frustrated, anxious, depressed, in a state of chronic stress, it impacts how effectively your brain is able to create new connections. Mental health issues can directly impact neuroplasticity, short-term memory, and other cognitive functions. But here's the good news. Even small changes to your mental approach can lead to improvements in physical recovery. Here are a couple things to try if you feel like mental health changes are keeping you from making improvement. The first is to celebrate micro wins. So instead of focusing on what you can't do, or maybe a really big goal that you've been trying to achieve but you feel stuck at, celebrate those small wins along the way. Because if you don't, you might not realize that you're actually still making progress. And those might be that an exercise felt less tiring, that you were able to do one more repetition of an exercise that you couldn't do before, or maybe that you walked 100 more feet than you could before. And I highly recommend that you connect with other stroke survivors, especially if you're feeling in a low mental state. Isolation can feed into your plateaus and decrease mental health. You can do this by joining online stroke survivor communities or groups. You can do in-person support groups, or even if you just have one other person in your life who understands what you're going through and listens to you. That connection can reignite your motivation and even give you some new ideas to try. So now that we know what the 3 keys to breaking a plateau are, here is a simple 4-week action plan that you can start implementing today so that you can start making progress again in your recovery journey. Of course, always check with your doctor or therapist before starting any new exercise or therapy routine to make sure it's right for you. So, the first week, I want you to just increase the intensity of whatever exercise or activity that you're doing by 10%. So that's gonna look different for everybody. Maybe it's trying to increase by a repetition or 2, increasing your weight, or increasing your focus and effort that you're putting into whatever activity that you're doing. During the second week, I want you to add in one new activity or variation of an exercise that you've been doing, something to add a new and novel challenge to stimulate your brain. In the third week, I want you to write down something every day that you consider to be a win. It doesn't need to be big. Whatever micro improvements you see yourself making, write it down so that you can keep a record of it. And in week number 4, assess and adjust. Look back, see what was working well for you. Did you notice that you had a little less fatigue even though you were giving a little more effort? Were you able to do one more repetition? How did it make you feel? What is your mental state like at the end of those 4 weeks? And then adjust your plan. What do you want to keep doing moving forward? And then you can start a new 4-week plan to keep providing new challenges and intensity to your brain. And remember that progress is going to look different over time. As hard as it is, try to be patient with the process because you may not see immediate progress in the way that you want. Maybe your arm doesn't move more, but you're able to functionally use it better. Maybe you are still walking with a cane, but you're moving more confidently. Maybe you're still feeling depressed, but you can start to see that small ray of hope. Recovery isn't always about doing more, it's about doing and feeling better. So to quickly recap, what do you need to do to break out of your rut? Increase the intensity of your home rehab routine. Try something new to challenge your brain. And take care of your mental health. Don't ignore it. Remember that a plateau isn't a stop sign. It's really a sign that says your brain is ready for the next challenge. And let's have some accountability. If you feel like you've been stuck in your recovery journey and you're ready to try something new, leave me a comment and let me know. What are you going to do to help break out of your rut? And please make sure to support the channel however you can. Like this video, subscribe, become a channel member by clicking the join button, or leave us a super thanks by clicking in the YouTube bar below. And of course, thanks to all of the donors who make this channel possible, with a special thank you to Heather G, Ryan D, Modus Nova, and Joseph M, and our Empower tier on Patreon. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.